I'm working on Simplicity 1538. It is a very basic button-down long sleeve blouse. It has variations. The first time I made this, I was very intimidated because of this continuous lap. That's that little opening at the bottom of the sleeve where the cuff meets the sleeve. And the continuous lap, it really intimidated me in the beginning. I've since made a couple of blouses with this, and I've made this pattern before. I thought I'd share with you how I do it on the one I'm currently working on. Here are the instructions for the continuous lap. There are other ways to do this as well. The Deer and Doe Melliot long sleeve version also has a continuous lap, and it's done slightly different. But this one is a pretty easy to find pattern. As you can see, I've made dashes where I've done it previously. These are the instructions. It is not as hard as I always thought. Just remember to take things one step at a time. Here's the pattern piece, and I can't really zoom out, but this is our sleeve. At the bottom of the sleeve, we have 2 pleats, we have a notch, and we also have the stitching line for the continuous lap. We also have piece 11, which is the actual continuous lap. Use it on all of the blouses in the pattern. Here is my continuous lap, and as you notice, there is a stitching line on both sides of the pattern piece. So you want to transfer the stitching line to both pieces of fabric, the sleeve for this piece right here, this giant point, or what looks like it could be a dart. And you also want to do it on the piece for the continuous lap. So let me show you. I did transfer and stitched along the stitching line, so you can see the lines pretty clearly on here. And then on this pattern piece for the sleeve, as we work our way down, I've already done the pleats. And here is the stitching line for your continuous lap, which I transferred that from the pattern onto it. You can actually still see a couple of the dots from the transfer paper when I was marking it, and then I stitched it. When you get to this top, you don't want it to be 2 lines connecting like points. You want there to be 1 stitch horizontal, and that was the best I did. It's never perfect when how I make things, but that was the best I did. The next step, after you stitch that exact line, you're going to go in and you're going to slice it. And you can take that little tiny bit out here, but you don't want to cut the line at all. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut this open. And be very careful not to cut the actual stitching line. This got a little too close for comfort for my preference, but I think it's going to be okay. So as you see, I got pretty close, but I didn't cross it. Next up, we're going to take our continuous lap, and you should have marked, there were a couple of dots on it, and I marked the center one because that's the one that made the most sense to me. We're going to open this up. I'm going to flip it around here. We're going to open this up and make a straight line. So spread it so it's a straight line. You're going to have bunching in the center piece. That's also where your center dot is. But there will be bunching, and bunching is normal. That's what happens. We're also going to take the continuous lap, and we're going to place that with it. Make sure your dot is, you know where your center dot is. You want this right side up, and then we want the right side of the continuous lap to touch the wrong side of the sleeve. So it should look like this, and we want to match up our stitching lines that we just sewed. and our dots. But if you did it right, they'll fit perfect. And you want to match up those stitching lines to each other. And I am going to work the miracle of pins, and I will be right back. Okay, so here we have the sleeve is the top piece where you can see there's that angle of that V. And then behind us is the continuous lap. So there it is. You can see that center dot because I thought that was the most important dot I wanted to match up. And with the magic of yellow pins, I just stayed on that stitching line, and you can see it here that those pins are on the stitching line, so they're met up. Now I'm going to sew on the stitching line again, both pieces together. Okay, here we are. We are all sewn up. And if I press this, kind of push this out a little bit, you'll see it already wants to naturally form that lap. The next step is we are going to press it. So we're going to open this up and we're going to press the seam towards the lap. So it should look like this. And then we're also, while we're there, we're going to press this down on the stitching line. Okay, we have pressed the seam towards the lap. And that looks like it could use another little press, but the opposite side of the continuous lap was pressed down on the stitching line. We're going to fold this over so these two ends meet as so. You could finger press it or you could take it back to your iron and press it one more time. And then we're going to stitch again along that stitching line just to encase it all and enclose it. And if you look at it from the back end, there it is. Okay, and here we go. We have it all stitched on the right side. And we have, so you can see the back side too. Now we're going to flip this over so the back side, the wrong side is showing. The side closest to those pleats, we're going to press this in. So it should be pressed in till we get to that apex. And we're going to also baste it down right here. Okay, here it is stitched down at the bottom, pressed till you get to that apex. Now we're going to let these two meet. And at the top of the fold, you are going to go where the very top inner corner here, where it's folded, and you're just going to make a line, an angle going down, as so. I'm going to show you what it looks like on the diagram. On the diagram, they just go from the top of that folded section and go down on it looks more like a 45 angle to me. And we're going to stitch that. Now we're going to stitch it just the continuous lap to itself. We are not stitching the actual sleeve here. So I'm going to do that and be right back. Okay, my stitching wasn't perfect, but I missed my corner a little bit. But as you can see, I only stitched the lap. So this is kind of free moving, and this is your sleeve. And this has been pressed down like this. And that's it. Your lap, continuous lap, is done. And this does need a good press, but as you can see, this is the bottom of my sleeve, and that gives you the movement you need to open and close your cuff and put your sleeve on and get it through your hand. Looks nice, enclosed, and that's it. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and I hope it keeps you from being so intimidated when you learn a new step on a pattern. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.